Hello and welcome to the first video in this series of support demonstrations for teacher dashboard managers. My name is Gordon Bobbin and I'm the current CloudShare support officer for the Catholic Education Office in Sydney. And in this first video I will be introducing you to the first of two spreadsheets that you will need to familiarise yourself with to help set up teacher dashboard for your school. To begin with, you would have been shared into a folder containing two spreadsheets. One labelled classes and the other students. We'll be looking at the classes one first, as this is the sheet that you will need to complete before going ahead and working on the students sheet. When we open the classes spreadsheet, you'll notice that there are a number of columns already set up and that some of the columns are green whilst other columns are white. The white cells, as you'll see here, contain preloaded formulas and data. So it's very important that you do not edit any of these cells. What you need to concern yourself with is only these green columns or green cells on the left and the right hand sides. Column A, as you can see, is for the class codes. These are unique codes and are usually pulled straight from your timetable software. It is important that no two class codes are the same, and an alert has been built into the sheet to ensure that you don't accidentally do this. Watch what happens if I try and put the same code in here that's already been entered once above it. You'll see straight away that an error comes up indicating that this is a duplicate class. Once I make the necessary correction, you'll see now that both those class codes are okay. What you'll also notice is that the class codes have generated this longer strain or code underneath the heading mailbox. This is very important, as every class that you create in Teacher Dashboard automatically is then created as a Google group. This ensures that your class now has its own Google group that can be emailed. What else is important about this is the fact that because it creates this Google group and in a sense creates an email address, it's very important that this class code that you create on the left hand side does not contain any other special characters that you wouldn't normally use in an email. So for example, symbols like $signs, ampersands, backslashes or hashtags cannot be used. You also must ensure there are no spaces left in the class codes either. Apart from numbers and letters, the only characters you can use are full stops, hyphens and underscores. In column E, this is the place where the email addresses will go for the teachers who you want to have access to each class. So as well as the class teacher or teachers, it is common to add yourself or the e-learning coordinator to each class, as well as perhaps the school principal or deputy principal. In some schools, subject coordinators are also added to classes within their faculty, or you may want to add support staff or pastoral coordinators. Basically, you can add whoever you want, but this should be a conversation you have with your principal and other concerned staff before arriving at a decision that best suits your school. When you do arrive at a decision and enter the teachers in this cell, just make sure that each email address is separated by a comma and a space, as you can see in the example here. When you are doing this, you'll also notice at the bottom of the screen there is a separate tab for teacher emails. If you look in that sheet, you'll see a list of all the teacher emails for the teachers at your school. It is always best to copy and paste the email addresses rather than type them in one at a time. This will ensure that there are no typos or no names spelt incorrectly. If there is an incorrect spelling or an incorrect email address entered into this box, the entire class will fail to upload. So it is really important that you get these done accurately. Finally, In column F, you'll notice that this is where you name the subject folders for each of these classes. This is the name of the folder as it will appear in the student's Google Drive. You can assign more than one folder, as is usually the case in primary schools, or you can assign just one folder per class, which is more common in secondary schools. And that's what you can see in the example here. If you want multiple folders for the class, just separate each folder with a comma. So for example, if I wanted another folder here with English called Writing, I would just type that in like that, separated with a comma and a space, just as you did with the teacher emails. Because these are the names of the folders that the students will see in their Google Drive, just make sure that you keep the names appropriate, and obviously make sure that they're not confusing for the students. Well, those are the basics for the class's spreadsheet. The next video in the series will demonstrate the use of the student sheet, and look out for another video later in the series where I'll explain the use of Google Site Setup. But for now, I hope you have found this useful, and thanks for watching.